Hudson County View live and uncut. I'm your host, the guy that tells you 2 and 2 makes 3, your favorite cult of personality, John R. Heinis, and of course the latest and greatest in Hudson County news, as we do every week. So, for starters, let's talk about the Jersey City Board of Education, and after 33 years, they finally have local control back from the state. So what are the implications of that? How do we get to this point? We're going to chat about what's happening there. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Hoboken Business Alliance. They have a new executive director, so certainly we want to let you know what her resume looks like and what her role will be moving forward. We're going to be chatting a little bit about Blue Violet's dispensary. That's actually the first dispensary to clear the Hoboken Planning Board, so we're going to have some interesting dialogue about that, I believe. We're also going to be talking about Story Dispensary, who had their 4th hearing yesterday. Still no vote. We're about 16 hours in. But fortunately, on the Hoboken issue, I'm joined today by 2nd Ward Councilwoman Tiffanie Fisher. So certainly, I think we're going to chat about that and other issues at length. And also, we're going to talk about a story I did last week where I looked at the contributions from the Hudson County Democratic Organization to the New Jersey State Democratic Committee and how that led to $410,000 and about being contributed in about a 4.5-month span, and what that meant for Governor Phil Murphy and his re-election. So all that and a whole lot more right after we come back from a word from our sponsors.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and launch inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Hi, I'm Elisa Cintron with some good news. The North Bergen Pool Complex is open. Let's go check it out. New Jersey's best pool complex, open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. with pools for every age. With a main pool, a lap pool, a kiddie pool, and a splash pool. The pool complex also has concession stands with tables and benches and lots of shaded areas, with basketball and volleyball courts, changing room with lockers, and lots of fun. North Bergen pool memberships starting at $165 for the season, $95 for seniors. For more pool information, scan this QR code with your phone. I'm Elisa Cintron, and I'll see you in the pool.
Hudson County View live and uncut. John R. Heinis, and as I mentioned a few moments ago, today I'm joined with Hoboken 2nd Ward Councilwoman Tiffanie Fisher. Councilwoman, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. So I know Hoboken Business Alliance is an organization you've worked closely with, and we got a new executive director, and Roxanne Earley, and you announced that yesterday morning. So just tell us a little bit about why you thought she's a good fit and why you think this is a benefit to the HBA and the city as a whole.
Yeah, so first of all, the HBA we've been working on this is the 5th year. We started the process back in 2018. It was one of the first things that Mayor Bala got behind. And so, it opened during the pandemic. It was a lot of blocking and tackling, and we always were looking for someone with, a lot of experience that is specific to economic development, supporting local business community. And, we performed a search, and Roxanne just elevated right to the top. She comes from New York City, where she worked in the small business department for the City of New York, overseeing 76 special improvement districts. So we're really looking to hopefully leverage all of her, all of her experience, everything that she's seen, and bring like fresh eyes, fresh ideas into our Hoboken economy. So really, really excited about her.
All right. Now, if I'm not mistaken, their predecessor didn't last very long. It was only a couple months, I believe. So what do you think happened there? You know what?
He just left for personal reasons. It was a big trip across the United States. He came from Santa Monica. We were all very hopeful that it could work out, and he just let us know that it was for personal reasons. It wasn't working out for him. So the HBA actually was able to put in a temporary person in the role, a vendor that they had been working with that kind of oversees the operations of the HBA. He's done a great job. His name's Dan Ackerman. The company was CDS. This is what they do in a lot of special improvement districts. And he really drove a lot of the progress of the HBA over the last year. He's staying on through this transition, so we have kind of 2 really active people, focused on our improving our local economy. It's great. It's a very exciting time for Hoboken.
All right. very rarely a boring time, but nonetheless. So let's talk about cannabis. Let's get into it. So let's start with Blue Violets first of all. So they got their approval last week. Fairly expected, but you know, to you, the dismay of yourself and others, obviously you guys tried to challenge the timing of the application. It didn't work out. Ended up getting approved unanimously. Why do you have an issue with this specific application?
You know, I have an issue with this application really because my view is it violates our local cannabis laws. You know, after a lot of outpouring from the community, the City Council, Mayor Bala, we came together and we approved common sense cannabis regulations on April 6th. Mayor Bala signed it really fast, 2 days later, which is not typical. It's usually maybe a week. We put it in place, and one of the restrictions in it is what we're calling the 600-foot rule, which is you can't have a dispensary within 600 feet of a primary or secondary school. This dispensary is literally kitty corner from All Saints Day School, Hoboken Charter, and Hoboken Charter High School. So it is in violation of our current laws. This applicant actually didn't apply to the Hoboken Planning Board until a day after our laws went into effect. And honestly, right now, I cannot fathom, I don't understand why people are turning their heads on this. And they've, you know, the planning board decision the planning board attorney and planning board chairperson effectively chose to just, I'm saying look the other way, but just accept that the applicant felt that by starting the Cannabis Review Board back in January, that they satisfied the criteria of time of application, but that's just not consistent with state law. I know there's a number of members of the public that are speaking with land use attorneys. I've spoken with land use attorneys, and everyone is scratching their head on this decision. So I know that there's some conversations about potentially legally challenging it. I don't know what's happening. It's not something that's being led by me. It's being led by members of the public, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it seemed to me, as you know, I wasn't there, but from what I read and what I heard, it sounded like that they were just like their grandfather did and it's fine, something to that effect.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, at the end of the day, the public relies on us to uphold the laws, right? I've spoken to a number of people and, you know, they're like, why are you challenging this? And, you know, I give the example, would you want a 24/7 bar like at the base of your building? And everyone said no. And I'm like, well, that's great. We have laws. The planning board enforces those laws or upholds those laws. The city council upholds those laws. This is one of those laws. All we're trying to do is uphold the law.
All right. Now, tomorrow, you guys, the city council, that is going to vote on a resolution on whether or not you support it. Obviously, you're not voting for it, but in the event that it does pass, what happens next? What does that mean? What are the implications?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm not even sure why we're voting on it, because notwithstanding the planning board approved it, they've not actually voted on the resolution, so it won't be voted on probably for another couple weeks. So personally, I think we should just delay our vote until after the planning board approves it by resolution at the next planning board meeting, give the opportunity to really vet and understand this time of application issue. So I'm gonna, you know, make a motion or ask my colleagues to just delay this vote. There's no urgency on our part. If it does for some reason pass tonight, it's just another step forward for this dispensary to be able to make their application successfully, you know, with the state, and a step closer to getting their state license.
All right, very good, Councilwoman. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere either. We just have to take another break from our sponsors. See you in a minute.
Stevens Jersey City Ford, certified parts and service located at Route 440 and Communipaw Ave, is your #1 source for Ford and Lincoln automotive needs. We use certified Ford Motorcraft products to keep your Ford running in top shape. Motorcraft parts are backed with the Ford warranty, which includes a 2-year unlimited mileage guarantee. Our team will have the right Motorcraft part to ensure the best performance from your Ford or Lincoln. You can order in person at the parts counter or online. Let us help keep your Ford or Lincoln in the best shape at Stevens Jersey City Ford.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Hudson County View live and uncut. John R. Heinis, and I'm still here with Hoboken 2nd Ward Councilwoman Tiffanie Fisher. So, Councilwoman, of course, there wouldn't be much point of having you here if we weren't going to talk about Story. So, obviously, you had a pretty strongly worded email yesterday, probably the most strongly worded one I've seen from you, to be honest. And, do you express your dismay with this project in excruciating detail? No offense when I say excruciating, but you really laid it out. You put it all on the line. Why did you feel the need to do that?
You know what? The specific issue is very local to my ward as a starting point, right? It is a dispensary in the middle of the most, or proposed dispensary in the middle of the most densely populated residential area, arguably in the state. So that's kind of the starting point. But what we've watched unfold from beginning to end on this is really the political influence behind this one. And I think what we're learning along the way, examples in Jersey City, examples in other areas, is cannabis seems to be following the path of casinos way back when, which is it's really just about enriching, elected officials and their friends. This one in particular, as I pointed out in my note, Mayor Phillip's wife is the co-owner of the property, which means that they're going to be charging rent, and rents can be either a flat, small, fixed rent, or it could be a percentage of revenues. That's the way retail leases work, but there's a lot of hands behind this. Every single lever is being pulled to make sure that this application gets approved when it snuck in, and there are very few people in this community that want it. So it's been very frustrating every step of the way, and I just felt like, we need to shed light on what's happening here because the public is at a disadvantage.
So on the other side of the coin, of course, there are people that defend it, right? And we even heard from Mayor Bala's office, like, look, this thing passed like 3-1 almost, the cannabis referendum in Hoboken, and this is all legal. The council had a chance to make it illegal, and they didn't do it. And basically their application follows all the rules and regulations, and it's up to the cannabis board and the planning board and the council. So obviously you don't agree, but what do you think of that take?
So a couple things just to unpack that. First and foremost, keep in mind that the administration is very supportive of Mayor Phillip and his potential gubernatorial run, and we know that. And we know that because he's been a guest speaker at Mayor Phillip's Super PAC fundraiser that he had. And by the way, I'm a huge fan of what Mayor Phillip has done in Jersey City, et cetera. This is an unfortunate, clashing around an issue that's very important to my constituents. But I disagree with some of the commentary there. The mayor of Hoboken should be standing up and supporting its residents, not supporting an applicant, especially not one that is being sponsored by an elected official. When we passed the when we passed the original ordinance last summer, one of the things in that ordinance that people I think are not as aware about, but the number one thing in that ordinance is the cap was lifted. We went from having a cap of 3 potential dispensaries in our town to unlimited in that ordinance. So this mayor, has he come out and said that he supports unlimited dispensaries? He didn't do his job either last summer, right? He didn't catch that. He didn't catch that this small district potentially got added illegally. Actually, there's a chance that we can challenge that ordinance. But for him to just say that, those are just talking points, and he's just trying to wash his hands of his responsibility to his constituents in Hoboken.
All right, and as it stands, though, it appears that we're going to get a vote at the next meeting, or maybe 2 at the most, you would think? I
think it's the next one, November 1st.
So it's going to be, look, as I mentioned at the top of the program, a lot of time's been invested, roughly 16 hours, 4 meetings. At this point, I guess, do you feel like investing this amount of time has been worth your while? Have you actually learned anything about the project from people coming and asking questions of the professionals? Is this, what you would have hoped for?
Yeah, it definitely has been worth the fight, and I'm not fighting this alone. We have a core group of about 100 people that put their hand up that are more active than other people that are against it as well, but just kind of this core group. We've had anywhere between 30 and 50 people at every single one of these meetings. Last night, kind of last minute, we had about 35 people again there, and we are learning along the way. What we're learning is that the entire project was put forth, the application was put forth both to the county and to the Hoboken Planning Board on a document light process, on a they provided what we feel is a very shoddy traffic report, which is really at the crux of this. And just to be clear on what the issue is, no one's anti-dispensary, no one's anti-cannabis. This is an area of Hoboken that already has huge, a tourist population that is in the middle of a densely populated residential area. So all this does is puts another tourist attraction in that area. And a lot of the issues that neighbors have from a public safety standpoint, from a nuisance standpoint, have to do with just crowds coming into the area and being disrespectful to the local traffic laws, to the residents in the area and the properties in the area. So the example that I give is, it's like what Orlando was when they only had Disney, and they said, you know what, we don't have enough people, let's build Epcot. Like, that's what this is. We're putting something that is expected to bring just excessive volumes into area that's different than other areas in Hoboken that they don't have the same kind of tourist draw as this area is. So this is just exacerbating an existing issue, and it was never meant to be this location.
So just briefly, we're short on time here,
Yeah.
but so when we look at the Hoboken Planning Board or even Union City, North Bergen, Jersey City, it's very rare that they vote down applications because they look, does it follow the letter of the law? And usually just because residents are like, it's too big or I don't like it or too much traffic, that very, very seldom impacts a vote. Again, I'm speaking broadly,
Yeah.
not just on cannabis. So why do you think this should be any different?
First of all, I can't speak for the other towns, but I can tell you in Hoboken things get turned down all the time. It's one of the biggest issues that people have in Hoboken, that they don't have confidence going to our land use boards with outsized projects. Why I think that the planning board can turn this down? Because there are two conditions that absolutely cannot be met, having everything to do with large crowds. This applicant cannot demonstrate that it can manage without any line. Pick one dispensary that you can think of across the state that doesn't have a line out the front door. Hoboken has an ordinance that prohibits
Well, Elizabeth, I've been there.
Okay, well, when you were there, maybe, they didn't have a line. But in this location, they can't guarantee that, and Hoboken has a very strict law for cannabis dispensaries that you can have no lines outside at all and no loitering. So this is a huge potential burden shift to the city of Hoboken to manage this line if the dispensary on their own has no ability to manage it. So it's a land use issue, it's a real quality of life issue, it's a public safety issue. So the planning board has the ability to vote no based on this inability to satisfy this really important condition, which is really at the crux of the issue.
All right, looking forward to the thrilling conclusion. Councilwoman, thanks for coming in
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We're not done yet. We'll be right back.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one path stop away, or a quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Introducing the all-new Ford Maverick. A truck for people who do stuff. And people who make stuff. People like Gabrielle Union.
I make this look good, don't I?
Who haul whatever they want to wherever they want. Like wood to build things made of wood with. And friends to get weird with. It's for long trips that the standard hybrid engine with a targeted EPA estimated city fuel economy rating of 40 miles per gallon helps with. That an 8-inch touchscreen connects with. And any trip that this interior makes more comfortable. But we'll let Gabrielle tell you all about it.
Or I could just tell them it's a Ford truck that starts at less than $20,000 MSRP.
Yep, that works too. The all-new Ford Maverick, built to defy expectations.
Hudson County View live and uncut, John R. Heinis. So let's talk about a little bit about the Jersey City Council caucus from last night. So as you guys may or may not recall, they voted on the first reading of the budget ordinance in July, and it was approved unanimously. You know, didn't really get a lot of fanfare, but you know, obviously now we're 2 months in the future and we still don't have anything. And a few people have been asking why. And we heard an update from the BA's office yesterday. So let me tell you a little bit about what happened. So what the council's going to be voting on this week is making an application to the local finance board in Trenton, and the resolution says, quote, to raise their cash deficit outside of the appropriations cap. So that's something that I haven't seen before, so I imagine a lot of you haven't either. And we heard a little more from the city's budget director, that's Kyle Greaves, and he talked about why this resolution's on the agenda. He said in part, this is just a statutory requirement that we have to meet prior to amending and adopting the budget. This accounts for one of the appropriations that we had in the budget this year for money due from FEMA, some other small items. This should be the last step prior to adopting. And we heard from Councilman Solomon, who of course represents Ward E. He said he didn't recall ever doing this before. Greaves said he didn't either in recent memory, but he said this won't have a material impact on the budget. And you know, it's just basically standard operating procedure. Now, this was only probably the span of 5 to 7 minutes. It wasn't really a long discussion. But the bottom line is this: the local finance board doesn't meet again until October 12th. And this is a board, again, that has to approve these sort of budgetary matters. And they need to submit all applications by September 21st, which is tomorrow. However, we heard from Business Administrator John Metro, who said that they could push for a special meeting on this because the local finance board has been meeting virtually. So that would obviously open up more opportunity to have a hearing. So with that in mind, you know, that's basically how they ended. And, you know, it looks like this will obviously pass on Wednesday. But, you know, when the budget stuff first hit at the end of June, we heard an announcement from the mayor's office. Don't forget, it comes with about a $1,030 tax increase per household, assessed at $470,000, compared to a $967 tax decrease last year. Now, anyone who's watching is probably familiar that Mayor Fulop has targeted the Board of Education for this tax increase because after they passed their $974 million budget, it came with a $1,608 tax increase on a home evaluated at $460,000. So it's interesting how there was a lot of bad blood there for, you know, the early part to the mid part of the summer, and now we haven't really heard anything about it in recent memory. But the other question you may have is, how has the city still been running if they don't have a budget? Well, actually, at the last meeting in August, well, there's only one meeting in August, but at the meeting in August, the council approved a $357 million emergency appropriation to keep the city running while the budget process continues to run its course. So we're going to keep an eye on what happens on Wednesday and what happens in Trenton subsequently, and of course, we're going to let you know as soon as we possibly can. And a relatively short story, but I think an important one. West New York has this Papusa Festival every year at the beginning of September, and there was actually a stabbing in broad daylight this time around. And while it's often difficult to make contact with them when it comes to police matters, I got this through an Open Public Records Act request, and they gave me the computer-aided dispatch reports, which you probably know as the CAD. And the bottom line is this: September 4th, West New York PD received a call about a stabbing near the intersection of 59th and Madison Streets around 2:20. The victim was stabbed in the lower back and was having difficulty breathing before being transported to the Jersey City Medical Center. And the attacker fled in a gray Hyundai that had no license plates and remains at large. So they have a witness statement regarding a potentially related aggravated assault, and a bloody T-shirt worn by the victim was recovered at the scene. At least 2 other people witnessed the attack, and 1 person tried to fend off the attacker with a stick. So obviously that's a pretty unusual and kind of shocking situation. So I just wanted to bring that to light. And finally, before we get to the next segment, our final segment, just want to talk about the Jersey City BOE now, once again, has local control. As I've noted in the story, this is something that we've talked about many times over the years. October 7, 2015, June 5, 2017, October 18, 2018, we saw the school board or other officials announcing, yes, local control is back, but believe it or not, they didn't actually receive local control until last week. So this was a unanimous vote by the New Jersey Department of Education Board. And the long story short is really right here from the acting Commissioner of Education, Angelica Allen McMillan. She said, Jersey City Public Schools has demonstrated through the scorecard of the Comprehensive Accountability Office reports that it has met its objectives and benchmarks and is poised to assume full local control. So we're going to take one more break. We'll be right back.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hudson County View live and uncut. Shout out Heinis. So you guys may recall last month I did another Oprah request that got us police body camera footage from the Secaucus Police Department. It was a bomb scare. Fortunately turned out to be nothing. But as they were investigating the area, a canine with the department actually discovered a whole weapons cache. And what I mean by that was 38 guns. If I'm not mistaken, that was 11 rifle-style guns and 27 more standard handguns, all in a closet in an administrative office. So obviously that's pretty unusual, not something you see every day. And as you guys who watched the video saw, that was not exactly for a hunting trip or anything like that. Now, finally, the police report has come out, and we've seen that Jan Moshi, who is, of course, the head of the hospital, he's actually the chairman of the HRH board, knew about it along with a few other officials at the hospital. So why this was allowed to happen, why this was even a thing, I mean, still remains kind of murky, but there was a scheduled court appearance for their marketing director, who was the one charged in this incident, on Monday. So obviously when we get some more details out of the courts, we're gonna release that as soon as possible. Finally, the other story I wanted to highlight before we let you go for the week is talk about what was going on between September and January between the HCDO and the NJSDC, the New Jersey State Democratic Committee. Now, as I've reported and as I've told you guys before, the HCDO has been in six-figure debt for a number of years. Some of them go back to about 2010. Some of them have been forgiven, like former Mayor Mark Smith forgave $35,000, but they're still in six-figure debt. The first quarter of 2022, they only raised $60.60. Despite that, between September 22nd and January 6th, they gave $410,000 to the NJSDC. Not a small chunk of change, obviously. And according to the ELEC database, they've only made 7 donations to NJSDC in their history, dating back to October 10th, 1989, for a total of $72,511.76. And if you look at where the money came from, it was max donations, which is $37,000 for a county committee, from groups such as the New Jersey State PBA, the New York Hotels Trade Council, Nancy Pelosi's re-election campaign, obviously she's the House Speaker, and even Fair Fight Inc. PAC, which is linked to Georgia gubernatorial hopeful Stacey Abrams. I spoke with Rivovich Institute of New Jersey Politics Director Mika Rasmussen, and he said this is wheeling, which is giving a contribution with an organization knowing they would pass it off to one another. The reason he thinks it is wheeling is because the state committee could only receive max donations of $25,000, and this allowed, of course, $12,000 more. So he said county parties are the only kind of entity that can receive contributions in this amount, so that serves as part of the explanation as to why the funds would pass through the county party. I heard from state committee spokesman Phil Swabinski, and he told me that they were basically happy with this effort, and this is what they've been doing. The long story short is this. He said the NJDSC Successful Forward 2021 coordinated campaign helps support Democratic candidates up and down the ballot in every county of our state with direct voter contact, digital organizing, and other essential get out the vote efforts. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, gonna call it a week. We'll see you again on Tuesday. Take care.